As she said, my name is Eric Rieker, and I'm the extension educator in Northwest Ohio in Fulton County near Toledo and the Michigan border. One of my research interests and focus areas is finding ways that we can increase small grains acres like wheat or barley in the rotation. Fulton County is located right in the center of the Western Lake Erie Basin. We also know that there's a possibility of a commercial scale malting house or houses coming online in the Great Lakes region in the next few years. As a part of that, we felt the need to develop a peer learning group to investigate growing winter barley at the field scale to see how feasible it was and if we could grow high quality, high yielding malt barley. Like many of the projects in eFields, this one has a unique flavor of its own. I do call it the Northwest Ohio barley cohort. It is not exclusive to Northwest Ohio, but due to proximity, it just made sense to start it with farmers in my home county and expand that into other areas of Northwest Ohio. If you're interested in more details associated with this data set, check out the eFields booklet on page 200 to 201, as we will today. Don't be afraid to email me with questions or concerns, or put your questions in the Q&A or chat box today. So what were the learning or research requests of the farmers that participated in this peer learning group? Well, they were simply plan a field of winter barley and record the associated data. We tried to maintain similar best management practices for planting small grains within 10 days of the Hessian fly free date, addressing soil fertility based on soil tests, and so on. The overwhelming question was, can we grow high quality, high yielding barley in Northwest Ohio? In summary, there were 8 growers across 9 sites in 5 counties in Northwest Ohio in 2018. That totaled up to about 200 acres that are in the data set. 2019 was a little rocky with the production, the weather issues that we had, and those numbers are down from what they were originally planned due to the necessity to tear up some barley acres in the spring of 2019. In 2020, the cohort had grown to 13 growers across 26 sites in 10 counties, including 2 counties in Northeast Indiana. The 2020 data set included 1,300 acres of malt barley. Each field in this data set was used as a replicate, and the geography associated with it was used as the randomization. Again, these growers were asked to record key data and practices that they did to go into the data set. The second research request was regarding double crop soybeans. When the growers in the peer learning group did some reading, I did some reading on substituting wheat with barley. We were all optimistic that barley would gain growers an earlier plant date on double crop soybeans, a practice that has mixed success after wheat in Northwest Ohio. So growers were asked to plant a soybean of their choice in 3 different situations. Obviously in a first crop situation, just to compare those first crop yields. And then a double crop soybeans after barley and double crop soybeans after wheat for kind of a check on both sides of the double crops after barley situation, for those who are really thinking that the first crop beans are the check, and then there's another set of farmers that believe the double crop beans after wheat are the check, and there can be a case made for both. Again, the producers were asked to record their practices and contribute to the aggregated data set that I'm going to be presenting here. Again, I've already called your attention to pages 200 and 201 in the 2020 eFields report. There's quite a bit of data in this spread. We've already talked a little bit about the study information and the study design in the upper left-hand corner of page 200. But I want to call out some of the data in the bottom left-hand corner where the 3-year barley results data are housed. So if you look at it a little bit closer, I did organize this data from right to left versus left to right. So we'll start with the 2018 data the 2018 data on the right-hand side of the chart. With kind of key metrics, I think that farmers really wanted to dial into, and those key metrics: grain yield, straw yield, and could they meet the protein requirement or the protein premium, if you will. 2018 was an excellent year to grow barley. We had 9 sites that averaged 86.5 bushels per acre with a ton of straw per acre harvested. We essentially had 0 quality concerns in 2018. In 2019, the fields yielded across 11 sites, the average yield was nearly 51 bushels and a little over a half ton per acre of straw harvested. Again, if you recall 2019, we had a very wet spring and we did run into some low yield and high DON or high quality issues associated with DON in 2019. Much of the barley in 2019 was unacceptable for malt quality, malt grade. Moving to 2020, we had what I would call an average yield year, 71.7 bushels per acre, and a really nice straw year yield, quite frankly, 1.3 tons per acre. However, the quality issues faced in 2020 included low plumpness scores and a high percentage of thins that we believe were associated with cold weather in early May, followed by a dry grain fill period. When you look at the 3-year grand means, participants in this barley growing peer group harvested on average on June 27th with a yield of 70 bushels per acre, 1.1 tons of straw per acre, 10.6% protein, right in the sweet spot, and a little over the parameters for DON, which was the average was 1.4, and we really want to be under 1 part per million of DON for this food grade product. I can't overemphasize that this is the simplest version of this broad data set comprised of 3 years. It's 46 farm fields, field scale data that I think growers can find quite a bit of use for. As we move to page 201 and look at the results of the soybean data, this data shows a slight advantage of double crop soybeans planted after barley versus those planted after wheat. I have highlighted those a little bit in 2020. We didn't have quite as big a spread between barley double crops and wheat double crops, about a three bushel difference. In 2019, we actually had we had one grower that planted after wheat, but we felt that data was inappropriate to include because it was only one site. Instead, we focused on the 7 sites that had both a first crop comparison of 48.5 and double crop comparison after barley, which was really one of the better double crop yields across all 3 years. And then finally in 2018, looking kind of back in reverse, there was a statistical difference between each of those bean yields. Obviously, first crop soybeans were the highest yielding, followed by almost 36 bushel double crops after barley and 20 bushels per acre after wheat. If you summarize that into grand means for the double crop data, the data set shows a 10-day earlier advantage to double crop soybeans planted after barley versus those soybeans planted after wheat. So that plant date then translated into a 7 bushel advantage for double crop soybeans after barley. You can see the comparison. June 30th yielded 30 bushels versus June 9th yielded 23 bushels. And full disclosure, there were only 11 data points for soybeans after wheat. Again, this data is in the eFields booklet, and you can contact me for any of the information or put questions in the Q&A or chat. But I certainly want to thank the farmers who participated in this study over the last 3 years. They put a lot of effort and I think learned a lot as a result. Thank you.